So, Bob, tell me a little bit about the situation. So you say there are times when you find yourself getting angry, and it happens 3 to 7 times a week.
Right.
Okay, okay. So, tell me, where are you when this happens? Give me an example, like where might you be? Is there a particular time or place where you might be most likely for this to happen? Does it happen in any one single context more than others?
No.
Okay. Okay. So what was that right there, by the way?
I was asking myself, are you sure that that's the case?
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to clarify it in my own mind.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, good. So then give me an example, like what kind of situation might this happen in, for example? Let's give me an example. In fact, maybe you can take an example from your recent past.
Okay, I can take an example from my recent past. Yeah. I went with a friend a couple weeks ago to Barnes & Noble. We went to pick up a specific book. And so I'm in the garage, and I drove that day. And so as I'm driving through the garage, I see these people off to the right, a woman and at least one child, if not 2.
Okay.
The one child starts to dart out in front of me. I put on my brake, and I look over, and the woman's giving me a dirty look. And I just instantly was like, you know, you fucking bitch. It's like, you know, you're the one that, your kid, you're not watching your kid and you're giving me a fucking dirty look. You know what I mean? It's like, what? I don't get that.
Thanks for telling me how you create your anger. Okay, great.
I really don't like being that way.
Okay.
I really,
sure?
I'm sure.
So
I
how
don't
committed
like
are
it.
you? I'm going to ask you now. How committed are you to changing that here today?
I am.
Because this is going to be a golden opportunity for you.
Yeah, I am.
And to the degree you're completely committed to make a change, I think that we can make something.
I'm committed.
You are.
Yeah, I do want to change it. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So let me get this straight. So there you are, and you're in the garage, and this kid darts out, and at that point you're still okay, right?
Yeah.
At that point you're okay, but then what happens?
The kid darts out. I slam on my brakes because I don't want to hit the kid.
That's perfectly reasonable.
You know, exactly.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and so she grabs her kid and she looks up at me and gives me a dirty look.
Yeah.
Like I had something to do with that.
Right. Thank you for telling me how you create your anger.
Okay.
That, folks, is called the complex equivalence. Okay? So, she gave me a dirty look like I had something to do with that. That's what he made up in his mind that look meant, and that's how he got himself angry. Okay? 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 True?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes,
Okay. You're right, he is good.
I get it. What?
Okay. Yeah. If it makes any difference, it seems like one of the ways you get yourself in trouble is by things happen and you say a lot of nasty things to yourself about what it means that don't entirely support you.
Right.
Yeah, and that hurt.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I know it does.
And in fact, there's been times after an episode like that that I literally get nauseous and a little dizzy.
Okay. Okay. So great. All right. All right. And by the way, what's your phone number? Backwards. Backwards.
8 7 7 6 8.
Okay, great. Okay. Okay, see the smile on his face? Okay, have I done an effective break state? Okay? Okay, so there's step 1, there's step 2. Number 1, associate to the problem. Number 2, dissociate from the problem state. Okay? Okay, so next question. But it's all the same. Step number 1 is where and when does the problem happen? We're getting to the next step now. How do you want to be different? So I'll ask you, okay? So, Bob, so we know in the past, we know how you've been in the past, okay? Now, the question for you is this, and by the way, that was the hardest part. You just did the hardest part.
Okay, good.
Okay? That was the hardest part, okay? So here's the question. We know how you've been, you know what you've been doing. The question is, in similar circumstances in the future, if you could be any other way at all, how would you want to be different? And it's up here, by the way. There you go. How would you want to be different? If you could be any other way at all, how do you want to be different? In those circumstances.
In those circumstances,
Woman gives you a look. If you could be any other way at all, how would you want to be different? Shoot for the stars.
I would say I would just giggle about it. It's kind of funny.
Kind of giggle about it.
Yeah, exactly,
Funny.
exactly. Kind of like no big deal.
Okay,
You know
no
what I
big
mean?
deal. Great.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what's important to you about having no big deal? About deciding it's no big deal. What would that do for you? That's important.
I wouldn't have to deal with those emotions every time something
Okay.
happened.
So if you weren't dealing with those emotions, what would you be doing instead?
Giggling, feeling lighthearted.
Feeling lighthearted. Giggling.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And feeling lighthearted and giggling, that's important to you, is it not?
Yes,
How does that
it
feel?
is.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
Yeah, it is.
When you're giggling and you're feeling lighthearted, what does that feel like?
I feel light. I feel happy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm in a place where I can help other people.
Right.
Because I have such a desire to help other people, when I get into a state like that,
Mhm.
I think that compounds, the feelings.
Sure, I
Yeah.
understand that. Great, okay. So you want to be giggling and lighthearted?
Lighthearted,
Happy.
yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. You see him light up when I say that? Okay, so what am I doing? Time out. Okay, good.
Yeah,
You're doing
sure.
great. Okay. What am I doing?
Visually constructing what he wants to be.
Well, I'm not letting him go back to his AD, that's for sure.
Mhm.
That's how he creates his trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so first thing I'm doing is I'm helping him create a new strategy
Mm-hmm.
by going somewhere else to look for it. Okay? Second thing I'm saying is, if you could be any other way at all, how would you want to be different? And he starts telling me about all these, things he wants to be. He wants to be giggling and lighthearted and happy, right?
Mhm.
And so what's it like when you're really feeling giggly and lighthearted and happy, right? What's he got to do? Got to start to create some of it. And I'm listening for his tone. See, he's doing it now.
Yeah.
Because those are his hot words. They're neurologically wired in, so that when he hears them and I feed them back to him the way he said them, you'll see him light up like that.
It's great.
Okay?